Hey guys, I'll make another towel head video. It's probably not politically correct, but it's a shirt head. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. I just had this. I'm watching the narcissistic abuse videos, learning about narcissism, and it made me think about myself and my recent history and self-destructive behavior via Adderall. And Adderall is how it pertains to essentially the dark side of Adderall and how it can enable a narcissistic persona, or it can exacerbate already narcissistic tendencies an individual may have. I know it was the case for me, someone with ADHD and certain kinds of narcissistic traits, carrying on from my family, and just as a protection and just a way of adapting to the world and my environment. I learned very quickly. I guess in hindsight, I learned what was going on, but in the immediate time in my development was survival and chaos, and how not just physically but mentally, a certain individual in that kind of circumstance needs to protect their psyche. And I'm learning more and more how there's I don't know how I can be convinced otherwise, or I'm open to anyone want to talk about it in the comments, feel free. But I really do see a correlation that's seems very evident now to me, that narcissism, CPTSD. Let's just talk about narcissism. Let's just talk about ADHD and CPTSD. The idea of complex trauma over a long period of time. Trauma over a long period of time, great, most aptly, or most of the time in childhood trauma, right? Something you can't get out of, you don't know what it is, and it's small things or some big things mixed in. But CPTSD is complex, right? It's long term, over a long period of time, and ADHD is being an inability to focus and hypervigilance, and kind of like a warrior, at least in males, how it manifests is like a very warrior like mentality. Makes it hard to do a lot of jobs, almost chaotic jobs being like the only option for us ADHD individuals. And I swear there's a correlation right there, right? So if that's true, and to the extent that that's true, is not Adderall just a band-aid or another distraction from the deep work and the trauma that one had experienced in childhood? I mean, if it's true that there is a correlation, then isn't Adderall kind of just delaying the work? I mean, and this is going back to full circle, where I believe as narcissism is also a protective anti-personality, or protective malignant personality trait, or an inefficient and unnatural personality trait. One could argue if it's natural or not. Basically, narcissism, to the extent that you're narcissistic, and if there's any correlation, let's say there's no correlation, but you are ADHD, you have trauma, right? Which I would argue there's at least some degree of correlation there too. You have complex PTSD or ADHD, blah, blah. There's going to be some correlation to childhood chaos, if for no other reason than biology. Your parents are ADHD, whatever, right? So you are taking Adderall and you are functioning, and I would argue in a way that is not, it is an efficiency. It is I don't think there's any argument that Adderall doesn't make you a more loving, more conscientious, more empathetic individual. Although I've had more tears on it, and I've had more, I feel like I have had pseudo empathy on it, and that I can feel like taking care of unresolved issues. It doesn't, unresolved, forgiveness and whatnot. It's more of an abrupt fix than it is an empathetic framing in your mind. So like a true empathy. I don't think there's true empathy with Adderall. I think it's I think it really can lead to like you can double down on your narcissism taking that drug. So as someone who took it for 10 years, who definitely doubled down on the narcissism, to the point where I was basically turned into a monster, a narcissistic monster, and Adderall enabled that. It enabled it in many ways. It was, especially abusing it, and with other drugs. But I would argue that drug, it's not far off of meth. Adderall it was a lifesaver. I wouldn't have bought a house without it. I wouldn't have had, I wouldn't have gotten into finance. I wouldn't have learned all this stuff. But at the end of the day, that's what are those two things I just mentioned? That's materialism, and that's that's analytical. That's numbers. It's not real. It's money is not. Even in American culture, I think we can all agree it's just, at the end of the day, it's not real. It's a way to measure yourself, and it should be a tool and not a boomer mentality. Whoever dies with the most toys at the end wins type of crap. And anyway, I'm gonna get on tangents. This is actually probably my least tangential video, so I'm getting better. And this is no substances. This is 3 cups of coffee and that's it. So it makes me feel hopeful. That kind of the whole point, right? That's kind of another full circle. Is for me specifically, it's environment and healing and doing the work. I think with those 3, and having peace, right? Your surroundings, who's around you. I've never been more of a monk. I'm alone all day, every day, and I get some sun. I do my house chores, and I watch videos, and that's why I feel compelled to make videos like this, just to kind of maybe help shed some light on some things that I have a perspective on, and I would argue a deep perspective. And I mean, it's very personal, but hopefully it it helps somebody else. I've become. I just was at the doctor's today. They gave me a Strattera prescription because I have had some trouble with motivation, but like my core beliefs, my view of myself, my peace within my environment lately, and there's never been greater, and I can definitely see the results of that within my mindset. And although I'm not getting everything done all the time, doing everything, just min-maxing my life like I used to be, I have a soul, and I would argue I've become I am super empathetic to everything now, and it might make me look weak, but I don't really care. Like I can see, I just, my MO personally is not to ever hurt anyone again or be an insensitive monster in the way I was, and putting away my own needs and just being kind of extremist with stuff, and yeah. So my point is I struggle with that, because Adderall is a dream drug for me. I loved it, and I love getting stuff done, but to what end, To what end? And I think that's true for everyone to an extent. If we're talking about Adderall, we're talking about narcissism. That's the point of this video, and I think it's an enabler for more of that kind of behavior. I think it can be a bit enabler. I mean, you need people around you that can check you on it. I think it's a miracle drug for a lot of people. If you can perfect the dose, perfect the lifestyle, perfect the working out and the your sleep schedule, it's a very slippery slope. You take a little bit too much Adderall, you're up, you fuck up your whole schedule, you got something to do in the morning, you take another one, whatever, and you can just become a speed freak, a dopamine junkie like I was. And it's not good. It's not cool. It's not. It ruined my fucking life, and I think I made enough videos about that. But I guess I'll end it here. Narcissism and Adderall. Is there a correlation? Post below. Love you guys. Take care.